My name is Anna, and if you've been here before, welcome back and thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, hi, hello, nice to meet you. On this channel, I talk openly about the things that I used to struggle with: addiction, dealing with the breakup after 6 years, ending up broke, living on benefits, not knowing who I was or where I was going or what I was meant to do. And I also share how I navigate single motherhood and everything in between. And after struggling for over 10 years, I'm now in a place where I can use my story to encourage and motivate other women. So whether you're still in it or you're just coming out of it and you're unsure what your next move is, you are not alone and there is a way through. So let me help you. You don't have to go through it if I already did, okay? If you are going through it, girl, you will get to the other side. Trust me. So today I want to talk about navigating single parenthood. I've been a parent that's single for 6 years. And when I tell you that it hasn't been easy, girl, it has not been easy, okay? But I want to give God all the glory because my son's father and I aren't where we used to be. Now, if you're a single parent, you know how hard it is to maintain a peaceful, calm, and respectful environment, especially when somebody is trying to intentionally poke you, okay? But with saying that, my son's father and I have not argued in over 4 years. We may have disagreements, but at the base of those disagreements, it is always respect. And in this video, I want to share what helped us get from wanting to grab each other's throats and hate each other's guts to a place of now mutual understanding and consideration, and also how we fostered a ground of cohesive parenting. So in 2019, 2020, thereabout, I just got to a point where I was just tired. I was just tired of the constant bickering. I was tired of the fighting. I was tired of the arguing. I was just tired of life. I was tired and I was done and I was over it. One day I prayed to God and I said, God, I just want there to be peace between the both of us. That was it. Like, I was just crying every single day. I do not remember a day during that time where I was not crying. And I just prayed one day and I said, God, I just want there to be peace. That was it. I need it. I remember my son coming into the room one day and I was on the floor and I was praying and he saw me crying. There was spit, there was dribble, there was bogey, my hair was out of place, the curtains were drawn, my buttons weren't even on. It was just a bad time. And my son came over and he wiped my tears for me. But after wiping my tears, just like kids normally do, he told me to get up, to go make him food because he was hungry. So I had to put crying to one side to go make him a meal because at the end of the day, I'm still a mother. But after that day, I just remember feeling that I never want my son to ever see me like that again. I never want him to see me in that light, like on my knees, crying, snot, bogey, dribble, bawling. I said, yeah, this ain't for me. It was just draining me mentally, emotionally, and physically. I could not do it anymore. Those years were so painful for me that I can't even remember certain details. Like, it's just so blurry. The memories only come back when I hear something or when I smell something or when somebody says something and then it triggers a memory in my head and I'm just like, oh yeah, this and this happened. Those years, oh my goodness, it was truly the ghetto. Like, I would not even wish that time on my worst enemy. At that time, we had just broken up and we had been together for 6 years. So to us to go from being in love to us arguing every single day, starting from when our son turned 1, it was just too much for me. It was overwhelming and it all happened so fast. But from when I prayed that prayer up until now, all I can say is that God has been too good. Like, I can't even tell you when that peace started. There's no date, there's no time, there's no reference. What I can say is that we haven't argued in years. What I want to do is I want to share the practical steps that helped me transition from conflict to peace. What actually helped us build a respectful co-parenting relationship. What I want to do today is I want to help you get from point A, which is not being able to stand his guts, wanting to chuck him off a cliff and see him roll all the way down, to point B, where you're able to be in the same room and your palms aren't sweaty, your heartlands feel like it's about to reach out of your chest, and you're able to just be civil, and there's just peace, there's just calm. You can just speak without being angry. And trust me, it is very possible. If you are someone who's experienced this before, drop some tips in the comments. Let us know where you came from and where you are now. But this is what helped me. I had to learn and master the art of communication. I didn't wait for him to change or for the situation to change. Mind you, my prayer was for peace, and that peace started with me. When I prayed that prayer, I didn't even know what the answer would look like. I was just expecting quiet. At that time, I didn't realize that peace required work. I just thought things were just going to magically appear and become quiet. I just thought things were going to quiet down. Like one day we would sleep and then wake up and then boom, peace. I 100%, I even put my hands up to the sky. I did not factor in that I had to put in the work in order for there to be peace. As silly as it sounds, I didn't realize that I had to put in the work. I had to grow, I had to learn, and I had to just become the peace that I was looking for. One thing that I didn't like about myself at the time was I just didn't like how selfish I was. It got to a point where I had to confront how selfish I was being. I had to face the fact that I was just saying things just to hurt him. They weren't even truthful things. I just wanted to hurt him. I had to get to a point where I had to accept that I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. And because of my inability to regulate my emotions, I was hurting people because they were hurting me. And because they were hurting me, I wanted to hurt them. And it was just this toxic cycle of bitterness. So I had to learn how to speak from wisdom and not emotion. I come from a family where healthy communication is not a thing. Like, recently, my younger sister and I, we discovered that we don't say things like please. It's can I have this, or give me this, or do this, or do that. There's never please at the end of our sentences. And this is something that we've learned, okay? It's something that we were just born into. And to us as a family, it's normal. But when we're speaking to people outside of the household, it's considered rude. So by the help of the Holy Spirit, this is something that we both had to learn. A lot of times as women, when we pray and ask God to change the situations or the people around us, we get angry at God when they do not change. So you need to understand that people do not change. Our perspectives do. And out of that change of perspective, that comes the change that we are expecting from people. The change first starts with us. It's a mindset shift. It's us that needs to change at the beginning. Our speech, our demeanor, our tone, our thoughts. And it all doesn't happen in one day. Trust me, it will take a while. Even the other day, I could feel myself just getting angry, and I really just had to sit down and calm myself, because we can't go back to that place of anger. And these things comes from a changed mindset. You don't focus on changing the action. You change the paradigm, and the attitudes and the actions will follow behind. Once I became aware of how selfish I was as a parent, I knew that that needed to change, because I didn't want to look exactly like the ones that came before me. What I didn't want to do was I didn't want to repeat those certain cycles. And this is where people come and speak about things like generational curses. It's not a generational curse. It's repeated behaviors and unchecked attitudes and habits that have been passed on. And what I did was I vowed that it stopped with me. So I had to learn how to communicate. I didn't want to repeat that dysfunction. I didn't want my son to grow up in a co-parenting dynamic where he was stuck in the middle. At the beginning, my son's father and I never had a cool civil relationship when we first broke up. It was toxic. I just wanted things my way. It was either my way or the highway. One thing I had to do to help us co-parent with respect and maintain the peace was I had to stop trying to micromanage my son's father. Now, our son lives with me. So when it comes to things like his needs or his likes or his triggers or his routines, etc., I would obviously know more. But what I did was I took it to a point where, because I knew these things more than my son's father, I wasn't giving him room to grow and become as a parent. I had to come to terms with, yes, I know our son better because he obviously lives with me, but that doesn't mean that I am more of a parent than you are. I was micromanaging him to be a parent like me, and that is impossible. One thing that I feel like we forget as women is that sometimes we forget that men are human beings too. Like, they have feelings, they have emotions just like us. And just like us, men want to feel trusted. Men want to feel respected. They want to feel like parents too. They want to feel like they're doing the right thing. How are you going to disrespect him and expect him to still show up and be a great father? It doesn't work like that. And I was guilty of that at one point. When you're calling him out of his name and you're disrespecting him and you're making him feel less than, how do you then think he is going to respond to you? You would then have the cheek to expect him to be respectful towards you, irrespective of how you speak to him. And it doesn't work that way. And trust me, I used to think that it did. I used to belittle him at every chance that I got. And I always wanted to make him know that I knew our son more than he does. And it got to a point where I had to realize he knows, sis. He knows. Like, I was just guilty of constantly reminding him that I knew our son better than he did. But all that did was create resentment. And coming from then up until now, what I've learned is that you cannot run parenting like a dictatorship. It has to be balanced. There needs to be stability when raising a child. But let me be 100% clear. I'm not talking about men who are abusive or who are genuinely unfit to parent. I'm not talking about them at all. I'm talking about men who are trying, men who are present, men who want to show up. For those type of men, let them. Even now, if my son is misbehaving, irrespective that his dad lives 4 hours away, I will call him and I will tell him to go and handle his kid, because I understand the power of balance and mutual respect. And don't get it twisted. I don't call him because I can't handle the situation, but I call him because I want him to feel involved. My son's father lives 4 hours away. So those phone calls make him feel involved. They make him feel like he's there. And maybe your child's father only lives 20 to 30 minutes away, but it is the same thing. And yes, sometimes I do get frustrated because one thing that my son does is he likes to act up with me, and I can be talking to his dad and his dad will be like, oh, I can't relate. He doesn't act like that with me. He's perfectly fine. And sometimes your kid will be on their best behavior with the other parent. And for me, when it first started happening, it would grind my gears. But then I had to learn that that is just how kids are. And in actual fact, the reason why my son behaves like that with me is because he's comfortable with me. I've created a safe space for him where he feels like he doesn't have to pretend or hide when he's with me. And I'm not saying that he pretends to behave when he's with his dad, but it's more about impressing him than anything. And I've met mothers where even the act or the thought of their child wanting to impress their fathers, it gets on their nerves. However, that is just how kids are. What you're now trying to do is you are trying to change something that you cannot change. It is in a child's natural nature to want to impress the people around them, including their fathers. And if you cannot change the natural order of a child's behavior, then maybe you start thinking about the things that you can change. Think about your perspective. Think about your attitude. Think about your behavior. Think about how you look at things. And when I understood that, I was no longer angry or frustrated. I now create that space for both of them to grow, and they have a beautiful relationship. As mothers, we want to hold on to our kids so tightly because we think that we can look after our kids better than other people. And that might actually be the truth. However, that doesn't mean that you're the only person that can look after that child. There is a difference. But as long as the man isn't abusing the kid, for as long as he isn't teaching him the wrong things or leading him into the wrong path, what is the problem? Let the child have the freedom to be loved by both parents. Let your child's father be a father. Let him be involved in the discipline. Let him learn. When you try to control everything, you're not just making yourself tired. You're sending the message that you do not trust him. When my son first started going to his dad's house, I was upset. I was scared. I cried like a baby. And I just remember calling every hour to check to see if the kid was good. Now, I cannot wait until half term where my son goes over to his dad's house. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my son. He is amazing. As mothers, we need a break. I need to breathe. You cannot be up under my armpits every single day. And with kids, with the parent that they are the most comfortable with, they will follow them everywhere, to the bathroom, to the toilet, to the kitchen, to the backyard, to the shed, to the garage, to the street, to the car. Let me breathe. Give that man room to be a father. If he's trying, encourage him. Don't keep on reminding him of what he did wrong many years ago. If you can, learn to speak life over him. As a woman, you don't know how powerful you are as a woman. So you just speak anyhow, and you don't do that. We're not supposed to do that. One thing about you and about a lot of us women is we are already overstimulated. We are already overworked, and we are already overwhelmed. And on top of that, you now want to come and add high blood pressure. The goal at the top of everything is peace, and peace takes effort. It takes communication. It takes accountability. It takes wisdom. Is it progress that you're looking for, or is it destruction? Men just process things differently. They are wired differently, and this isn't me making excuses, but it's me trying to help you understand the ways that will get you, one, heard, and two, moving from a place of constant bickering to peace and an overall changed mindset that not only changes the situation that you're in, but every single situation that concerns you. We need to learn how to communicate effectively. We need to strive to be women of peace. We need to strive to be women of great characters. You need to let your character speak in rooms that you have never been in. Learn how to communicate. Don't get me wrong. I 100% understand that some people can be very extremely difficult to deal with. But even in those situations, you need to learn how to keep your good character. You need to think about what you are instilling into this child. What do you think this child is going to become? What do you think their future is going to look like with what you are contributing into pouring into that child? What type of behavior or character do you think that child will now come and pick up? When my son's father and I disagree, it never turned into a shouting match. We pause, we listen, and we try to understand each other, because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's not about him, it's about our son. We always ask, what is best for him? And I'm going to be very honest with you. Sometimes what's best for him isn't what I want, but I agree to it because at the end of the day, our son comes first. If you want peace in your parenting journey, it starts with you. You need to learn how to communicate better. You need to learn how to let go of control. And above all, seek wisdom, not just victory in arguments. You need to get to a point where you say to yourself, do I want to be heard, or do I want to be understood?